Hello everyone and welcome to the video, and today we're going to be talking about how to win more in Apex Legends. So I'm going to be giving a couple tips and tricks that will help you win a lot more consistently, as well as some guidelines you should follow that will definitely increase your efficiency at winning more games. So before we get into the video, I do want to say that I think I'm going to start a coaching series where you guys will send in some videos, some gameplays, and I will coach you and help you get a little bit better. A couple people have requested this already, and I feel like it's a pretty good idea, so I'm going to pin a comment probably eventually. I don't think it'll be in the first hour or so when the video comes out, but it will be very, very soon after the upload, so just refresh. I will put an email there where you guys can send gameplays in, and I will coach them and make a little series out of it because I feel like that'll be a cool and fun idea. As well as if you guys have any other ideas for any videos you want to see, just comment them below. It helps me out a ton. So let's get right into the video. The first tip I have for winning is knowing your playstyle. This is a very, very important tip, and I feel like a lot of people aren't actually familiar with what playstyle works. So, if you're a very aggressive player, you need to understand that that's not exactly the way that you're going to be winning a lot of games. Aggressive means dangerous, and dangerous, obviously, you're not going to win as many games as if you were playing safe and slow. I understand playing safe is a little boring, and I literally never play safe, but I'm fairly confident that if I got three decent teammates and we went on a little spree in public matches, I could probably win like 30 plus games a day if I played a little bit. So it's very easy to win if you play the right way, but obviously that's no one's play style. I feel like a lot of people don't want to play that way, and that's understandable, but to win you need to play a little bit safe. You don't have to play it completely safe, hiding in corners, obviously, but if you just play with a lot of strategy, you can still be pretty aggressive and get away with it. So what I mean by this in strategy is just rotations. A lot of times people die to the zone, a lot of times people die because they get pinched or they get third-partied, and that's something you can avoid. I know it seems impossible to avoid the third parties, and sometimes it really is, but for the most part, if you know that there's multiple teams in the area, don't pick fights. It's going to end up in your demise, and you know it. So just try to avoid fights where you know there's multiple teams in the area, because you're going to get pulled up on right after the fight. It will not be worth it, and you'll end up dying. So another thing I want to talk about is actual rotations, and that's moving from place to place inside of the zone and setting up for better positioning. So if you have prime positioning, people are always going to be rotating into you, and that's perfect for not only getting kills, but it's perfect for playing positioning and getting the win later in the game. Because as the circle gets smaller and smaller, and you're in a very good position, whether it's on high ground or a really prime location, people are going to be trying to take that from you in kind of a king of the hill sort of fashion. So they're going to be trying to take it from you, and you can punish them for it while still playing defensively and getting a lot of kills. And this way you don't jeopardize your positioning, lose out on any positioning at all, and you can stay in this amazing spot and still get kills without having to worry about being boring or just sitting in one spot and being super defensive, because that's not fun, obviously. So rotating early and getting that position is always going to help you secure the win later during the game. Especially as the circle gets smaller, you need to understand that where the circle rotates, whether it rotates to you or the enemy, has a lot to do with winning games. So if you're in a prime position where the circle is going to rotate to you and people have to literally run right up to you and your team, they're going to be at a major disadvantage no matter how good they are, or no matter what kind of players they are or what kind of team they have. They're going to be at a severe disadvantage if they have to rotate to your team and you guys are waiting for them. So setting up in the next circle with good positioning and good strategy and just a game plan, an overall plan, is always going to help you guys win the game. And you will see wins if you follow these tips. You will see wins so much more often. So having a plan is another thing I want to talk about, because this is such an important thing. What I mean by having a plan is you just want to be thinking a little bit ahead. You want to be 2 steps ahead of the enemy, and that is always going to be very beneficial to you and your team if you're constantly thinking, okay, well, if zone pulls here, we're going to do this. If zone pulls there, we're going to do that. Things like that. Just recognizing what is the next step, and if that goes bad, you want to also have a plan B. If something, like if your original plan is not going to work out anymore, you should be able to think on the fly immediately, like, okay, well, this is the next best option, we should do this. And if you can get your decision making down like that, and just creating better plans and overall backup plans, better strategies, you're going to see wins come pouring in a lot more. It's going to be like night and day, and these are things you can do without having to like get, insanely cracked aim. You don't have to be a god at the game in terms of mechanical skill. You don't have to have the best movement ever to be able to do this, because this is just some basic thinking. You do have to think pretty quickly, and you do have to be on your toes with it, but if you can just get this down with your decision making, have a plan, have a backup plan, constantly be thinking about what's going to happen next, your gameplay is going to improve, not only in just winning the games, but you'll get more kills because you'll be in a better position. You'll get a lot more wins in general. You'll just do better as a player. You'll see yourself become a much better player than what you were. So the next thing I want to talk about is don't panic. This is something that I feel like everyone struggles with. I mean, even I've choked some games before. It's something literally everyone has done. It literally just happens. It's just a thing. Sometimes the pressure gets the best of you, and that's understandable. That's okay. But you want to minimize that. So the best way of minimizing it is putting yourself in that situation multiple times, and also just thinking to yourself, like, it is just a video game. So it's not that big of a deal. Just calm down, because if you're all stressed out, worried, you're getting all nervous, you're going to probably choke and you're going to lose. So you just want to be very, very calm. You want to be tactical, and you want to be calculated. And if you can do those things, stay calm under pressure, and just not crack and not be nervous, you're going to win a lot more as well. Another thing is putting yourself in those situations often. If you're constantly getting to the end game because of these strategies I was talking about, you're rotating well, you're constantly getting to the end game, but you can't exactly finish. The more you practice getting to late game and getting those 3v3s down, like the full squad versus full squad, or even 1v1s, the more you practice doing that, the better you're going to get at it, and the much more efficient you will be. So you just have to be very comfortable and calm. You definitely want to stay calm. That's one of the best tips I can actually give for clutching up games and winning in the end, because I feel like a ton of people get nervous and they start doing things that they don't even know what they're doing. They're not thinking, and that's where the plan comes in, and that's where it succeeds. If you just stay calm, think of your next play, you will already be a step above the guy you're versing, because chances are he's panicking probably a lot worse than you are. So just keep that in your mind. You're probably a better player than him. You just need to understand that. You need to have that confidence going in that you're not going to lose. You're just going to win. So if you have that kind of mentality where there's no possibility of you losing, you're going to have much better odds when you're versing this guy if it comes down to a 1v1 or even like a 2v1. Maybe you'll have a better chance at that. So next thing I want to talk about is just understanding the problem if there is one. So basically, save some of your losses. Save some clips of them. Watch them back. See what you did wrong. See where it went wrong, whether it's your mechanical skill. Did you miss a whole bunch of shots? Was it your positioning? You were in a very, very bad position that you put yourself in on accident and you didn't even realize it. Think about it. Was it your decision making that kind of threw you off? You put yourself in a bad spot. Things like that, if you can recognize those and work on them, you're going to see yourself improve a ton, and you'll win so many more games automatically if you can just fix your mistakes. And the best way of learning from mistakes is making them yourself. So if you just save that game back, you evaluate what happened. You see, oh, okay, well, I missed half of my R9 clip right there, and he came back with a Havoc and melted me. You need to understand that, well, maybe next time I should play behind cover a little bit more. I know he has a Havoc, and my R9 shot's not the greatest, so I should be peeking him a little bit, but not full peeking him. Things like that are going to help you improve your game a lot. Even, like, nobody's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, and this is what the pros will be doing constantly, is they save their gameplays and they watch them back. I mean, I've done this for every game I've ever wanted to get better at. I save my wins, because even in a perfect game, in my eyes, I've still made tons of mistakes. There's always mistakes, there's always things that you could have done better, even in a win. Sometimes you just get bailed out by the opposing player doing something worse than what you did. So if you just constantly kind of try to correct your mistakes, you're going to become a much better player. So the last thing I want to talk about is obviously mechanical skill, and this is just aiming and movement. So I don't really want to talk a whole lot about this, but I do want to mention it just because I feel like if your mechanical skill isn't at least average or on par, you're going to want to practice that before you can talk about getting consistent wins, because it's just not going to work that way. If you are constantly missing all of your shots, your movement's very terrible, you're just standing in one spot spraying at people, and you always get lasered, you need to try to fix that before you can worry about actually winning consistent games. So the best way of fixing that is either going in firing range, practicing on the targets, or just 1v1 people. 1v1 some of your friends that you might know that are better than you, or some random players. Talk a little trash to someone, get them mad, 1v1 them. It may suck if you lose, but either way, you're getting better. So practicing in the firing range is definitely going to help you out a ton. Like I said, just do some drills with your aim. If you know your movement is subpar, focus on your movement. Try to stay calm in fights and do some strafing and practice that a little bit more, as well as your aim. If you know that your aim is a little bit not that great, you can even use weapons that'll help you out a lot. I know a lot of players that don't have the greatest aim will use things like the Havoc and the Prowler, just because they have a very high clip size, as well as the Spitfire. If you don't have great aim, you can use the Spitfire. These guns will literally bail you out for having bad aim. I mean, I've gotten melted by these guns a ton of times by players who weren't even that good. The Havoc is just an incredibly high damage weapon, and as well as the Prowler, and they have really high mag sizes, with like 35 with a purple mag on the Prowler and 32 stock for the Havoc. So these guns are obviously going to save you if your aim isn't that great, as well as pairing that with good decision making and positioning. You'll see a lot more wins. So I hope this guide helped you guys. I guarantee if you use these tips and you implement them, you will 100% see more wins. I promise you. There's no way you don't, because these are going to help you win 90% of the time. So that's pretty much it for today's video. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.